calling reproductive success gene spread. I listened to the Selfish Gene by Richard Dawkins a couple of years ago, and I also listened to a few other books that might also have been about biology, and I also was a little bit interested in biology in school already. I didn't study anything like this. Nonetheless, there seems to be the problem in order to explain, basically, or to say, or to describe what is actually happening, that we are not the individuals. The individual is not the thing that is trying to get into the next generation, but it actually is kind of the genes that are getting into the next generation. One might also argue similarly to how back in old Greece they thought that it was the atom that is the smallest unit that then basically would be attributed an agency to, that maybe it's not the gene, but it's even less than a gene, but that there might still be subunits to be discovered. Maybe it's actually the quarks that want to get into the next generation, and maybe it's just the reallocation of resources that is optimized towards fighting entropy or something like this. Now, gene spread, one could say, is just if we define a certain gene as a certain gene, then if we say, okay, it's as simple as this, and this results maybe also in a character trait. Of course, it is not always as easy as this, and eye color seems to be made up not of one gene, but of multiple genes, but I don't know if eye color is actually made up of one or multiple genes. Probably multiple genes are contributing to eye color, I at least suspect. Now, in order to say simply, there are different framings one could use. The first is reproductive success. The next is evolutionary fitness. Darwin actually said just fitness, basically optimizing fitness or increasing fitness. But then there are also multiple problems related to this, and it also has been misinterpreted. At least I have listened to a little bit or read or heard a little bit about this potential misinterpretation of this. So one could say maybe it is just the genes that have the agency, even though they don't really have agency, and we might just ascribe agency to them. But if we then say, okay, the next generation, one could also say maybe it's not only the next generation, but actually why should it be the next generation? Maybe it's the spread of the gene in the 1,000th generation, and the goal of the gene is not to get just into the next, because this would be the next incremental step, but to survive for the next couple of billion years or something like this. So why use the time frame of this? Maybe because it's the smallest step. But one could therefore say the goal of a gene is not to make it into the next generation, to increase evolutionary fitness of the individual or something like this, but to instead just increase the gene spread.